No Chub Lake today, but that's fine because you always got to have a reason to come back. And you can, like I said before, you can actually come in from the other direction to hit that lean-to up there. And it's a circle around the entire Chub Lake. So maybe we could even go back to the trailhead, go up there, circle around sometime when it's a little bit warmer and drier, and make a whole weekend out of it. So that would be fun. So we turned back around, and right along Rock Dam Lake, Stone Dam Lake, Rock Dam Pond, Stone Dam Lake, Rock Dam Lake. They're interchangeable. Anywho, along the side of it, there's a nice little ridge that runs back through here. So we're just following that along and looking down at the lake, doing some exploring, seeing what there is to see around here. So still a beautiful area. There's kind of a low-lying swampland down in there where the water backs up against the ridge. But we might look for a place to build a fire, dig a hole, and eat some lunch. Still got to decide what we're going to do. So we'll check back in when we've made that decision. So there is definitely a wolf or a dog of some sort back in here. We just came across another track. That one you can't tell so well, but that one back there was pretty well defined. And they're big paw prints. So we're in the domain of some beast or another. I think we've decided we're gonna dig a hole and make a fire and have some lunch and then put the fire out and bury it. So I think that's what our plan is. So we'll get back when we get to it. We've picked a place to set up camp. We've cleared our pit for the fire. And so leave no trace guidelines here. We're 200 feet from the water. That's not water, that's just flat land. So we're 200 feet from the water. We're 200 feet from any other water source, from any other trail. So we've dug our fire pit. We're gonna go ahead and build a fire there, maybe warm up our calzone. And when we're finished, we'll make sure we pour all sorts of water on it, put out the fire, and then cover it back up where we dug our pit. It's drizzling, the fire's going. So we dug a hole here, right? You dig out a hole and then make sure you dig out from around all the flammable material. And then when you're done with your fire, you douse it, cover it over, and then cover it back over with all the leaves and the duff. You make sure though that it's out before you do all that. And then it's like you were never here. Leave no trace. And you make sure that you're 200 feet from all water sources or trails or other campsites, which we are. And Mary Ellen is excited for a calzone.
Yes.
Our fire. So we'll let that burn down a little bit and then either double over the tinfoil that we have on the calzone or try to find ourselves a flat rock and throw in there and get it nice and hot. So either of those will work. So it's not a flat rock, but it's two rocks. And that'll help us nudge our calzone close enough. Those will also hold the heat too. So we'll keep building the fire. We'll let those soak up some heat. And then it's calzone time. Fire, what is it? Oven fired calzone. Except in this case it's campfire fired calzone. So you can kind of see what's going on here. You got the rock down below, you got the fire up above. It's not a direct heat, it's kind of to the side. So it should do a nice job of warming up the calzone, making it all nice and melty. You can see the steam down there coming off the rock still. So I think this is gonna be a success. Mary Ellen's mother made this for us. What's in it, Mary Ellen?
Meatball and spinach and cheese, of course.
I am excited. It's just like the soup last week. I've been looking forward to this ever since we left the car. Well, it was steaming. So it's warm. It is warm. And there, my breath. But there we go. Are you excited?
Cheers.
How was it?
Delicious.
No?
Mm-hmm.
It is warm. That is amazing. That's so good. And it's just warm enough to know that you warmed it up. So, it's not like hot and melty, but it's really impatience that is responsible for that. We could have sat there and let it. It was definitely heating up. I mean, it's still hot on the outside. If we'd have given it another 15 minutes, 10 minutes, it'd be melting right now. But we've been waiting too long for this, so we rushed it along a little bit. Still tastes amazing. Definitely an effective cooking method. That's the first time I'd tried that, so pretty excited. A successful calzone experiment. It's still drizzling here a little bit, but the sun's starting to come out, so that's nice. And it's still nice and bright through here. We're letting this burn down right now because if you leave all that wood that size, it's going to stay that size, right? And then you're going to have burnt, charred wood all over the place, and people don't like that. So if you let everything burn down and turn to coals before you go and douse it and bury it, it disappears a lot easier. So that's the waiting game that we're playing right now, waiting for all this stuff to burn down. So this is the update on the fire. It's burned down. I've been stirring it up and trying to break up the coals right as it goes. I think it's pretty well kaput. So now our job is to scatter all of the wood that we collected. Mary Ellen's working on that. So once we do that, we'll come back here and douse this with water. And then you go ahead and take the dirt that you dug up to make the hole and cover it back over, and then cover it over with the duff and everything, and it's like you were never there. Here we go, we're about to douse her. This is 1 Nalgene bottle. I don't know if you heard that sizzle, but you want to keep doing that until it doesn't sizzle and it doesn't smoke anymore. 2 Nalgene bottles. You want to soak it all. Get every last bit of it. And then it's not a bad idea to mix it up some more. Make sure you uncovered everything. See how it's all nice and wet in there? So that means the water's not evaporating anymore. And you got everything. So I'm going to douse it one more time with 1 more Nalgene bottle, and then I think we can cover this back over and it'll be like we were never here. Nalgene number 3. And the water is literally running out of it now. So I think it's pretty well doused. There's our fire pit, all cleaned up. So I went ahead and I covered it, buried it. It was totally dead. There's no heat down in there. I mixed up the coals well, soaked them. Then you go and you take the dirt that you dug out, throw it back on top of it, cover over everything with leaves and duff, kind of scuff everything up all around it. And it's like you were never there. So I think we can declare this officially no traceable. Well, I mean, maybe to some, you know, somebody trained in the art of it, I'm sure could notice it. But in, you know, a couple months or so, once all those settle down, you'll never know that we were here. We're saying goodbye to Rock Dam Lake. Stone Dam Lake. Stone Dam Lake. Goodbye, Stone Dam Lake. Not forever. Until next time. I think we'll definitely stop by here on the way up to Chub Pond some other time. Or maybe on the way back down. Mary Ellen's chopping ice back here. So yeah, that was a nice little time. Had some lunch, built a fire, got a little warmed up. Now it's time to head back. So rather than walking back the way that we came and meeting up with the trail where we left it, we just decided to do a little bushwhacking back out to the trail. And here we are, found our first marker. So now it's back onto the trail right here. Here's our tracks going down the other way. So now it's back that way and back to civilization, for better or for worse. I'll make you a little comparison here. This trail marker on the bottom has been nailed properly to the tree. This one, I don't know if it was nailed improperly or if it's just been in there for so long that the tree's growing around it. But when they nail the trail markers to the tree, you have to leave the nail so that the marker will sneak out like that, right? As the tree grows. So either that's a very old marker, or whoever nailed it there the first time did not do that. So I think we're coming up on a spot where I just dished my, yeah, there they are. My snowshoes. Laying right there. So nobody came by and stole them. That's nice. Laying there with some paracord. I'm gonna have to figure out how to tie them up to my backpack, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, so I didn't like them before because they were hitting me in the knees. Now they're hitting me in the head. But this is okay. This is the first time I've tried to lash these. I mean, I only just got these. So this is the first time I've done, experimented with any lashing. So if this continues to bother me, I'll change it. And then the next time I need to do this, I'll remember that this doesn't work. So it's just a matter of perfection. You always are trying to perfect your gear. You're always trying to perfect the way you use it, trying to get familiar with it, trying to find better ways to utilize it. So that's all this is. Someone's taking care of the trail, so that's good. Thank you to whomever adopted this. There's been a few trees that we had to get across. This one here is low enough to jump up on, but as you can see here, they've been doing quite a bit of work. So even though this doesn't get traveled too much, it's very well maintained. Mushrooms. We wore our snowshoes for this part on the way back in, but as you can see, it's kind of a mix of mud and snow depending on where you are. So obviously we wore the snowshoes, or we were in the snow with the snowshoes. There's our tracks right there. But in the places where there is no mud, you can definitely appreciate having the snowshoes on, because it does make a big difference. Look at that guy. And there's the hole where his roots used to be. Here's the blowdown I mentioned on the way in. Mary Ellen and I went through this with our snowshoes on. I think we'll go around it this time. We're just about, actually you can see it through the trees. I don't know if you can see it, but we're just about back to the creek where we started. So this might be as good a place as any to dive off, because that other part of the trail just kind of circles around. So I think we'll just bushwhack now over to the creek, and we've decided to put our snowshoes on before we cross, because on the other side is all that drifted snow, and that's still pretty deep. And then after that too is all the snow on the way back. So that's the game plan for now. All right, we're coming down onto the Woodhull Creek again, which is, we're just above where we crossed before. And if you want to take a look, there it is. That's where it comes out of the woods. And like I said, we crossed just downstream of this. Right there is the clearing where we crossed before. So the trail is not very far off of here once you do get across it. Wherever you end up going across it, it's not very far until you get to the trail. And the trail follows it directly. We're coming back out into the clearing. Right here is where we made dry land. Somewhat dry. So this is where we'll cross back over, and then it's only a mile out to the parking area. So we got about a half an hour left. So we made it across the river. Both of our feet are a little bit wetter. Mary Ellen's ready for another calzone. I'm ready for another calzone. We just passed a tree on a rock, and I didn't bother to shoot it because you see those from time to time. But here's another tree on a rock. Look at this thing. It's crazy. It's completely engulfed the whole rock. It's got tentacles. Cool stuff. I couldn't go without showing you that. All right, so we're back at the bridge. There is the bridge. Mary Ellen's gonna go ahead and wring her socks out, and I'll take you down and show what we were looking at. We were considering crossing down here because, well, it was closer, right? So this is what we looked at first. And, well, if you look, that water is deep and it's moving. And, yeah, you don't want to get in that. So, come down a little further and it starts to widen out, which means it's not moving quite as quickly and it's a little less deep. Also, check out this little pool. That's got I bet you that's fun in the summertime. Have to keep that in mind. But anyway, you come down here and that water's still moving. I mean, that's class 2 rapids right there. And I mean, class 2 that's not any big water by any means, but yeah, so we came down here and I picked my way across over to that corner from that side, but there was one big gap right there where the water was pouring over, it was moving swift, and it was deep. And what's the sense in risking it? So that's why we ended up going and trying the alternative route, which only resulted in some soggy feet instead of a soggy body. So that was definitely a good call. There's always another way to get across the river. Mary Ellen is investigating the origins of this. It's a bear track, and it's in our tracks. So I don't know if it came before us or if it came after us, but here's another one, and here's another one, and another one, another one, another one, another one, right? All the way up through here. So I don't know. There is a bear around. I don't know if he predated us or if he's been through here since we came through here. Maybe he's somewhat domesticated, right? So maybe he smelled us and thought we had something for him. But that's crazy. That's my first bear track that I've seen in the wild. I've seen moose tracks and moose shit. And we've seen bears on the road, but never had a bear track like that before. I don't know. See it? Yeah. That's another print of some sort. No bear sightings yet, but we're about 15 minutes, I think, from the trailhead. We're talking about lunch and dinner and breakfast and pancakes. So definitely time to head home. Hey, just a reminder, if you enjoyed this and you think you might want to watch a few more of these, go ahead and subscribe. Hit subscribe, hit like on this video, Subscribe to Dak Country Adventures. I'm hoping to do a lot more adventure vids like this, as well as more how-tos, bushcrafting. You know, I don't want to call it prepping, right? Because I'm not a prepper, but stuff like canning videos, a bunch of stuff like that. So, thought I'd just take the opportunity to remind you to hit subscribe. And if you don't want me to be eaten by a bear, hit subscribe. And if you want me to be eaten by a bear, hit subscribe. So, thanks again for watching. We're just about out to the trailhead. I'll check in with you again when we get out there. I hope you've enjoyed watching. So that is that. That is the end of the big hike up to Stone Dam Lake.
Yep.
Stone Dam Lake, or Stone Dam Pond, or Rock Dam Pond, or Pond Rock Dam. Stone Dam Lake. We made it. It was a great trip. Roughly 6 miles round trip, depending on what sign or what map you believe. You can never believe these things. But, oh, this is interesting. I didn't see this on the way in. There's an American flag over here. 2 American flags. I'm curious about that now. Who knows, maybe there's a veteran or something around here. So, well, it's kind of a nice way to end the hike with a little bit of America. Speaking of which, we've got a big 4th of July hike planned this year. The Cranberry Lake 50. It's going to be America themed because it's happening on the 4th of July. So if you want to see that or any of the other videos, make sure you hit subscribe. I promise that was not planned. So anyway, thanks for watching Dak Country Adventures, and we'll see you next time.